So what are the changes? Okay. Really draw your attention to the current versus new on the table. So the prior authorization turnaround time requirements are changing. The expedited, as you'll see, are pretty much staying the same at 72 hours, except for Medicaid fee for service down at the very bottom where they had not specified previously what the for expedited what the turnaround time is, and that is 72 hours now. So the main changes that are coming is in the non-urgent, where you can see on the far left-hand side column where it says standard non-urgent for every single one where there was 14 or 15 calendar days, or for Medicaid fee for service not specified, those are all cutting in half. So instead of 14 days down to 7 calendar days, QHP's staying the same at 15 calendar days, and then Medicaid now required at 7 calendar days. So what does this mean? This means that your processes are going to have to change, and the turnaround times you're going to have to ensure that you have a solution that meets the requirements. And we all know that when the clock starts ticking, right, the last piece of that clock is the actual distribution of the materials. And so being able to have a solution, so for what Clarity offers is a same day SLA, which we are processing files 24/7, 365 days a year. As soon as we get it, we're processing it. That includes holidays and weekends. And as soon as we get it, we move to production, and we have multiple changes of custody, which is the definition change of custody when the clock stops ticking. And your timeline is when that change of custody and that timestamp is on those materials. That's when the clock stops. So being able to process those in the same day SLA up until the last change of custody is 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. And so that it's critical being able to process these regularly as they're received, have a SLA contracted SLA for that same day workflow, 365 days a year, weekends and holidays. Okay. So if we go on to the next slide, changes as far as provider notice and including denial reasons. So if this is coming in 2026. So if a member's prior authorization request is denied, that plans will be required to provide a denial reason or reasons to both the provider and the patient. That can be done either via print, it can be through the portal, fax, email, phone, according to that CMS final rule. So currently, there's no uniformity for informing the providers of denial reasons. This new requirement ensures that providers, payers, and patients have access to the same information, and it gives providers the information that's necessary to appeal and recommend an alternative. So that's like, change number 2 that's coming is around provider notification and patient notification. So if we move on to the next slide. Right. So again, critical to be able to have a solution that supports multiple different channels and outreaches. So we can take any data that we all, our saying is if you can throw it, we can catch it. To be able to organize, leverage that data, would definitely need obviously the denial reason, contact information, preferred channel that the individuals have opted into, and we can distribute whether it's our state-of-the-art production print facility, email. We are already integrated into the majority of our clients' portals, so it can post to there. We can do text notification and web services. We can render and support that API information and requests through our web services as well. So what's critical too is being able to ensure that the reporting that you get back and the reporting that you have supports that entire timeline. Right? So they've got the audit report for timeline of when something changed custody, and that end of the timeline and that timestamp ends. And then find really in our platform, right? So you can access different reports. We can export those reports. You can configure those for you, and then you have those available for up to 2 years. So really being able to support that overall provider notification, member notification, entire flow. So if we go to the next one, so okay, now the final third change for utilization management is around prior authorization metrics, the 2026 changes. So payers, right, are required that are impacted by the new CMS ruling of everyone who is impacted that I walked through earlier. You're going to be required to publicly post prior authorization data on your website so that members can look and can to see all of the different items and services that require prior authorization. But not only that level of detail, but the percentage of standard and expedited prior authorization requests that were approved versus denied, the percentage of standard prior authorization requests that were approved after appeal, percentage of standard and expedited claims where decision timeframes were extended and then followed by a request approval, and then the average and median timeframes between a prior authorization request and a decision for standard and expedited prior authorization requests. So there's a lot of transparency that is being required as part of this, with a lot of data that will need to be pulled and then posted and available publicly on the website. So while these may not seem like huge changes to be ready for these, um, there's definitely a lot that's involved here. And considering these are 2026 changes, it's something to absolutely be focused on right now. So that you make sure that you have everything that you need, all of the data, all of the reporting, all of the communications in place and ready for January 1st of 2026. So another key is obviously is going to be reporting and being able to have the access to the data. And so again, any data that we receive, we can provide back through self-service reporting. We can configure reports based upon your needs. They can be exportable to Excel or CSV. So whatever data we have, we can help to support that. So whether it's the time frame, turnaround times, it's the denial, number of denials and denial reasons, because we have that as part of any of the communications that go out. We're very, very flexible and have quite a powerful suite of reports that will help to support any of the needs that are required as part of these prior authorization metrics.